Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Final Score, goals and updates from the Premier League 3 o'clock kickoffs, as well as goal news in the EFL and Scottish Premiership. Dion Dublin and Chris Sutton are up top for us this afternoon. What a strike force that is. In the Premier League lunchtime kickoff, West London derby, Chelsea were at home to Brentford. It's just finished Chelsea 0, Brentford 2. What a game. We'll talk to Dion and Chris about that shortly. First, let's get the team news from the games kicking off shortly. Let's head to the Emirates. Arsenal looking to close the gap on North London leaders Spurs. They're at home to Sheffield United. Good afternoon, Marc Scott.
Afternoon, Jason. On paper, it looks a very strong possibility that Arsenal will do just that, doesn't it? However, they are without Gabriel Jesus due to injury, while Mikel Arteta has made some surprising calls selection-wise as well. Gabriel, Odegaard and Jorginho moved to the bench, with rare starts for Kiwior and Smith Rowe, and Havertz and Nketiah also coming in. Sheffield United missing a key player through injury too, with Ollie McBurney absent for them. Ryan Brewster makes his first start in a year. Anis Slimani, his first since joining in the summer, as Cameron Archer moves to the Blades bench.
Thank you, Marc. Have a good afternoon. Huge game at the bottom of the table at the Vitality as winless Bournemouth host struggling Burnley. Pressure on both managers. Good afternoon, Chris Wise.
Hi, Jace. Yeah, and I think highlighted really by the number of changes by both Andoni Iraola and Vincent Kompany. 9 between them. Bournemouth have made 4. They're without their captain and goalkeeper Neto for a few weeks. So Andre Radu makes his first Premier League start. Lewis Cook is suspended. Brooks and Kirkes dropped to the bench. The others to come in are Mepham, Christie and Semenyo. The big Burnley team news is that their leading scorer Lyle Foster isn't available. I've just spoken to Vincent Kompany. He said the South African woke up this morning feeling unwell. Connor Roberts is suspended as well. There's 5 changes in all from the Clarets. Into the team come Coutinho, Brownhill, Berg Goodmanson, Koleosho and Zaruri.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good afternoon. So in the lunchtime kick-off, Brentford made the very short trip to Chelsea at lunchtime. John Southall was at Stamford Bridge.
Scoreline, Chelsea 0, Brentford 2 for the third.
Well, Steve Wilson is in North London for us today. A double injury blow, of course, for Arsenal. And Gabriel Jesus, Steve, missing again. A big loss.
Jace, hope all well with you. Arsenal are looking to close the gap on Tottenham Hotspur here. But, of course, they must do so against Sheffield United today without Gabriel Jesus, who's going to be missing for a little while with a hamstring injury. Though, you know, if you look over Gabriel Jesus' contribution in terms of goals in the Premier League, he's scored only 6 in the last 13 months for Arsenal, who do spread the goals around. And it's a very attacking Arsenal lineup today. Eddie Nketiah is in for Jesus. Saka, who's been in great form, and Martinelli make up a front 3. But then you also have Kai Havertz and Emil Smith Rowe in the midfield. Smith Rowe's first Premier League start of the season. So there are basically 5 attacking players, with Declan Rice holding the midfield. It's been a struggle for Sheffield United, hasn't it? Lots of injuries, of course. Ollie McBurney is the latest addition to that list. He has a groin problem. But it does open a window of opportunity for Ryan Brewster, who has made a couple of substitute appearances this season. But it's over a year now since Brewster started a game for Sheffield United. He injured a hamstring 53 weeks ago, and he starts today for Sheffield United at the Emirates.
Big opportunity for him. Steve, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon to Dion and to Chris. Let's talk Arsenal. Dion, 18 goals scored, only 9 from open play. That means they're 10th overall in the Premier League. The Gunners not firing on all cylinders.
Is that the only blip so far with Arsenal? You know, I think they are looking good. They're playing some really good stuff. If they are scoring the goals, you know, it's hard to knock them.
That's right. I mean, you're sort of focusing on a bit of a negative there. I mean, you know, Arsenal have beaten so far in the Premier League, aren't they? And listen, so I think I take your point that they have...
Well, delighted to say Jonathan Pearce is down by the seaside for us and Match of the Day this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, JP. Very good to see you. Tense atmosphere there, would you say?
Yes, good afternoon, Chase. Good afternoon, everyone. It is tense down here. 2 teams, of course, in trouble at the bottom of the table. Bournemouth still looking for their first win. If they don't win today, it'll be 14 winless matches. That's their worst record since 1974. Burnley have lost 7 of their opening 9 top-flight matches for the first time since the inaugural season of the Football League. That's 125 years ago. Dion was there that season. And there are nerves here, certainly, for the manager, Andoni Iraola, because the owner, Bill Foley, Burnley has arrived in from the USA. Now, Bournemouth say it's a routine visit because he was due in anyway. He was due last week, but he was ill, couldn't come to the Wolves game. But there would be pressure on the manager because the owner is here, Bill Foley, I would think.
JP, what's the expectation in and around Bournemouth and the football club?
Well, Dion, look, I think to get to 35, 36 points over the last 10 years, the minimum number of wins for a team finishing 17th and safe is 7 victories. Where are those 7 victories going to come from? The fans here are very pessimistic, the ones I've spoken to. Some of them say they shouldn't have sacked Gary O'Neill. I think Vincent Kompany, by the way, I don't know whether you agree in there, has had not an easy ride, but the critics have been less severe on him. 1, because he's Vincent Kompany, great player, lovely man, and 2, because of course he has credit in the bank because the way they swashbuckled their way up through the championship. So similarities between the two. So talking about similarities, Jason, 2 men in the studio with you there, of course, both terrific centre-backs, both goal-scoring centre-forwards in the Premier League. Dion scored once every 2.9 Premier League games. Chris just over 1 every 3. They both won a title with Celtic. Both played for Aston Villa. Dion, home's under the hammer. Chris Sutton, hammered by the home fans, his own fans at Chelsea.
Very good. I was waiting to see which primetime BBC show on television Chris Sutton's been given. He hasn't got one yet, have you?
Not yet.
Apart from this.
Give me time.
JP, can I just come back to you and ask you about this, right? Scott Parker, we lost Scott managerially back in August of last year. We haven't lost a Premier League manager just yet. Do you think either of these two guys are under that much pressure at the moment?
Well, certainly Vincent Kompany isn't at the moment. And I think it would be daft to sack Iraola at this stage, given they bring a new manager in. They've got Liverpool in the Carabao, then they've got Manchester City, I think it is, and Newcastle United in coming weeks, something like that. So I think at this stage, maybe in 3 or 4 weeks when we hit the next international break, you never know. But no, Bournemouth tell me, Jace, he's absolutely safe as houses. Well, we know what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. JP, good stuff. Always great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Well, Leicester City are flying. Today they go to Queen's Park Rangers. They're struggling, but the boss says he doesn't fear anything. Let's get a preview from John Bennett.
Hi, Jason. Yes, Gareth Ainsworth says in today's match programme that he is not a quitter, but the contrast between these two teams could not be greater. QPR 5 defeats in a row. Leicester 5 successive victories. QPR yet to win at home. Leicester a 100% away record. To add to QPR's troubles, they have an injury crisis at centre-back, so it's a makeshift back 3 today. Meanwhile, Chowdhury, Vardy and Cody come in for Leicester. Everything, Jason, points to a Foxes win, but it would be just like the Championship to throw up a shock result here.
It would indeed. Ipswich Town had a great win at Bristol City in midweek. Today, it's another team from the West Country. Marc Webber.
2 teams that tussled for the League One title last season are finding life a little different in the Championship. Ipswich, only 1 defeat all season and a League Cup encounter with Fulham coming up. Plymouth with a midweek win to ease worries on their dropping down the league table. They are yet to win away. Ipswich unchanged, but Freddie Ladapo is back on the bench after injury. Argyle shaking the pack, though, with 3 changes. Hardy, Miller and Cundall come in.
Let's go back to the Premier League. 1 game last night. It finished Palace 1, Spurs 2. Marc Scott's a busy man this weekend. He was at Selhurst Park.
Palace 1, Spurs 2. Spurs weren't at their best in the first half, but showed their quality after the break, while Palace's current limitations became very apparent after they fell behind.
Right then, OK, let's turn our attention to the EFL, where there are big stories in League 1 and League 2. Good afternoon, Kelly.
Good afternoon, Jason. Yes, I thought I'd start by showing you the League One table because Portsmouth are still 25 matches unbeaten. They were held 0-0 in midweek by Cambridge, but that record keeps going. However, look how close it is between 2nd and 7th, just automatically. We're hoping for as much drama today. Of course, both these teams have been going very well. But on the subject of Notts County, we know that Wrexham, of course, have showbiz owners, don't they? Of course, being owned by Ryan Reynolds and co. And there was reports this week that maybe Notts County we're also going to have a rather famous new owner or investor Taylor Swift. But unfortunately, to any Swifties fans out there, it doesn't look like this is actually going to be happening. This is the statement that Notts County released. They said, as sorry as we are to disappoint the Swifties in our fan base, we're going to have to shake this story off. There's certainly no bad blood between ourselves and Taylor, but for such an exciting time for us in the club, she surely couldn't have believed in her wildest dreams that we would relinquish our control. And as you can see, it goes on in yellow there. In case you're not a Taylor Swift fan or a Swiftie, these are references to her songs. So no Taylor Swift, unfortunately, Jason, joining League Two. Not sure if that's really your bag.
So with that news, we'll just shake it off, yeah?
You just stole that. Shake it off was already in that.
Yeah, it's fine. You can get involved this afternoon. We'd love to hear from you. Use the hashtag BBC Final Score to join in the conversation and the live text on the BBC Sport website and the BBC Sport app. Right, we are underway. And first of all, let's head to Scotland and Eilidh Barbour. Good afternoon, Eilidh Barbour.
Afternoon, Jason. Hibs against Celtic here, and Celtic coming into this one with just the 2 drop points all season, and after that brilliant performance against Atletico Madrid midweek, a win today will also put them 10 points clear at the top, with Rangers playing tomorrow. This, though, is one venue that Brendan Rodgers failed to win at during his first spell in charge, so he will be hoping for a better return to Easter Road. Hibs, they're looking to bounce back from a 4-0 defeat to Rangers at the weekend, with manager Nick Montgomery having to rebuff claims that he showed a naivety starting and taking on one of the old firm with a 4-2-4 system. He's stuck with it today. He'll need more in defensive transitions, or this could very much be one-way traffic, and it has in these opening few minutes been all Celtic so far. Yet to test the goalkeeper, but that would keep one of your guests at least very happy if that continues.
Indeed. Thank you, Eilidh. Bournemouth have made a good start in the Premier League against Burnley. Let's go to Loftus Road. John Bennett.
It's QPR 0, Leicester 0. Leicester holding onto the ball in the early stages. That will be the pattern of the game, I'm sure. Remember the pressure on the QPR boss, Gareth Ainsworth. No win since the 2nd of September. The fans turning against him. Not the time to be playing Leicester City, who haven't lost in the Championship since the 2nd of September. Good start here for Leicester. QPR can't get near the ball. QPR 0, Leicester 0.
We've all been praising Ipswich Town. How have they started? Marc Webber.
Well, nothing of note at the moment. We have kicked off. Nothing to really report. Apart from, I don't know whether you saw this in the press the other day, the Plymouth Argyle Football Club fines list has been released. Ball over the fence, £10 fine, £5 spin for losing the team on a Friday, and if you turn up not dressed properly, £20 fine. Kelly Summers collect it in the studio now.
Thank you, Mark. Now, here's a stat for you. Preston North End have lost just one of their last 9 away league matches in Yorkshire. That was a 4-1 defeat against Sheffield United in April. Betty Glover, you could have that one.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Jason. I'd say that's a 6 out of 10 stat, but keep them coming today because you'll be saving me a lot of work. Not a lot separates Hull City and Preston, though. Just 2 points at the top end of the table, and in both games last season, they drew 0-0. So I think we're in for a good one, I reckon. Hull ended a winless streak midweek at Birmingham for their first win in 5. Preston will be hoping to do the same today. They're without a win in their last 6, looking for their first league victory since mid-September. One change for both sides. Ryan Ledson starting for Hull in for Maz Frocchia, while Preston are without 20-year-old Tyler Morton, who's injured. So Jason Lakillo's starting. Just kicked off here, 0-0.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Betty. One of the biggest games of the season for Cardiff City and Bristol City fans. Owain Gwynedd.
Yeah, it is the seven-side derby. 25,000 noisy fans here to watch two clubs who are knocking at the door of the top 6. And it's a fixture that's destined to entertain. Only one draw in the last 22 league games. The Robins have won 3 of the last 4 visits to Cardiff. However, they face a tough task today. 9 players injured and only 2 senior defenders fit. As a result, there's a full start for 17-year-old Joseph James. The Bluebirds unchanged and unbeaten in the last 5 home games. Currently 0-0.
Thank you very much. Stoke City had a great win over Leeds United in the week. Today they go to Middlesbrough. Andy Sixsmith is back on the final score rota. Expect some dodgy song puns from him as well.
My partner doesn't want any more second-hand embarrassment, Jay, so I'll hit you with a stat instead. 34 days ago, Borough bottom with no wins in 7. They're now 7 wins in 7 in all competitions. 7 up then, and things getting fizzy for Michael Carrick. 3 days after he celebrated the first year of his Teesside tenure. A win here would make it the club's best winning run in 50 years. The Potters putting together a revival too. 2 wins in the week have boosted Stoke, but can the turnaround extend to their dreadful away form? Only 1 win on the road all season, and without keeper Marc Travers, who was recalled by parent club Bournemouth last night. And don't worry, Jace, I've checked with both keepers. Like Lucas Fabianski, they too could do a better job of the match of the day 2 intro than you. 0-0.
Oh, you rascal, thank you. None of Sunderland's 21 Championship goals have been scored by a striker. Who knew? Sunderland, Norwich City, Maz Faruqi.
Nearly November, I know, but in Jack Clark's Sunderland do boast the league's joint top scorer. 8 already this season for Clark, which is reportedly made in the focus of interest from both Burnley and Brentford. Sunderland did lose at Leicester in midweek, but played very well. Tony Mabry sticking with pretty much that same 11. Just one change. Norwich started the season so well away from home, didn't they, under David Wagner, but October has been a bit of a stumbling block recently for them. They also lost in midweek. 4 changes to that side today, 0-0 in the early stages.
Good start for Fleetwood Town. They're 1-0 up against Barnsley in League One. Let's go to Ewood Park, where Blackburn Rovers have won their last 3 games. They've got Chelsea in the EFL Cup in midweek. Sarah Mulkerrins is watching them against Swansea City.
Yes, Jason, wouldn't another victory buoy this Blackburn team heading into that glamour tie in the league after that winning run you've talked about? They've jumped from 20th to 11th on the table. Manager John Dahl Thomason is looking to build more consistency to their results. He makes 1 change, injury enforced. Scott Wharton in for Dominic Hyam, and then Swansea, well, they're here on the back of 2 losses. They're 19th in the table. However, remarkably, points-wise, they are closer to the playoff spots than they are the relegation zone. Michael Duff, he's made 2 changes. Josh Timon and Charlie Patino are starting. Ben Cabango back from injury, but he only makes the bench. Goalless early days.
Yeah, goalless at Wigan Athletic, Shrewsbury Town as well. But Cheyenne Dunkley has been sent off for Shrewsbury Town after just 4 minutes for violent conduct. Watford have had 5 clean sheets in their last 8 games at home. Also had a good win in the week. They're at home to Millwall. Joshua Adu-Donkor.
Afternoon, Jason. Watford manager Valerius Schmel feels his team are moving in the right direction. They come into this game with real confidence, back-to-back wins, including that first away victory in midweek. They now have a chance to win 3 consecutive games for the first time this year. Millwall haven't registered a win since departing with Guy Rabbit early this month. They're still searching for his replacement. Millwall have been a better side, though, on their travels this season. No chances yet. Watford 0, Millwall 0.
Well, let's go into League One. Top of the table, Portsmouth, unbeaten in 25. They make the short trip to Reading. Paul Scott.
Yes, and they're taking on a Reading side who are somewhat in free fall after 4 straight defeats. It's also a day of protest from the home fans as they protest the ownership of Dai Young, as Colby Bishop stings the gloves of David Button away to our left-hand side. The game was temporarily delayed a few moments ago when a number of tennis balls were thrown onto the pitch in the protest, but the action is back underway. Pompey starting brightly, still 0-0.
As Kelly was saying, showbiz talk in League Two this week. Not around Wrexham for a change, more about Notts County. Sure, they were delighted when it was all about Taylor Swift and not Naz Premji.
Afternoon, Jason. I can confirm a couple of Swifties did come and say hello, and I took the odd selfie, as you would. No Taylor here then, and not likely to be. Notts County and Wrexham both had blockbuster starts to League Two, very much on course for another step forward. They can see daylight between themselves and the playoff zone. Expect no bad blood in an enchanted game with no anti-heroes on show. 8 gone, Notts County 0, Wrexham 0.
Oh my goodness, how many Taylor Swift references did you count there? 2, 3?
About 3, wasn't there?
We need to get him out of League Two. Let's get Naz back to the Premier League, where he can't do that sort of stuff. As we heard a little earlier, 2 lunchtime games in the Championship. Let's get more on those now, starting with the Yorkshire Derby. Vicky Sparks.
Leeds 4, Huddersfield 1. Utterly deserved for Leeds, who were fantastic in the first half, and no player more so than Crescencio Somerville. 2 goals for himself, 2 assists to set up Dan James to bag a brace as well. Both players finishing with real confidence as Leeds simply tore Huddersfield apart with some brilliant attacking play. They took their foot off the gas in the second half, and Huddersfield managed a scant consolation through Mikael Helik after an error by Elam Melier, but this was a grim West Yorkshire derby defeat for Darren Moore's side. Since he took charge 7 games ago, Huddersfield have now conceded 4 goals on 3 separate occasions.
Yeah, okay. Southampton were looking to move up the table against the Birmingham City side, still looking for their first win under Wayne Rooney. Chris Coles.
That wait for a first win continues. It's now 3 straight defeats for Wayne Rooney to start his Birmingham City managerial career. A 3-1 loss at Southampton. He'll take heart, though, from an improved second half performance, but there's much work ahead to get this squad where both he and the board want it. Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Carlos Alcaraz had Southampton 2 up at the break, barely out of first gear, but Birmingham back in it through Jay Stansfield's fine finish off the bench. Adam Armstrong made sure of it for the home side a few minutes from the end. 6 unbeaten now for Southampton. The scrutiny on Wayne Rooney's appointment at Birmingham, though, will continue after another defeat.
OK, let's get the latest from League One and League Two. Kelly's back.
Yes, thank you very much, Jason. We're going to start in League One, where Portsmouth, unbeaten in 25 matches, are sitting pretty at the top of the table. How's that record looking at Reading? Paul Scott.
Kelly, thank you very much indeed. You are right up to date. And of course, Leagues 1 and 2 take a break next week as they're in the hat for the first round of this.
A true illustration of the...
OK, we are taking a short break, so viewers on BBC One can join us. If you're watching on the iPlayer, the website or red button, stay exactly where you are. See you shortly. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Final Score. All the goals from the Premier League, EFL and Scottish Premiership on the way. Dion Dublin and Chris Sutton are leading the FS line with panache. Not much pace anymore this afternoon, but still, we love them. And Kelly Summers is up to speed on the EFL. A little earlier, it finished Chelsea 0, Brentford 2. More on that later. Let's start in the Emirates. Arsenal, Sheffield United, Marc Scott.
And having not really got going in the first half, Arsenal cantering to victory now thanks to Eddie Nketiah's hat-trick. He'd only scored 2 in his last 27 games before today. His smart swivel and finish in the first half, followed by an instinctive crack home from close range as Fotheringham flapped at a corner, and then the pick of the bunch when he let fly from about 20 yards out, and it sailed into the top corner, and any hope that Sheffield United had of taking something from the game sailed away to Saka and Smith Rowe, now getting a breather as well because the points are safe. Arsenal 3, Sheffield United 0.
Eddie Nketiah is on fire. Let's go to the Vitality. Big game, Chris Wise.
Big game because Bournemouth are still looking for their first win of the Premier League season. Burnley lost 7 of their last 9, the 9 games they played so far in the Premier League, and both of them are in the bottom 3, and at the moment they can't be separated. The goals came relatively early on. Charlie Taylor hadn't scored since 2015, never scored for Burnley before. It's an absolute beauty 11 minutes in on the half volley, which whizzed past Andre Radu in the Bournemouth goal, but they responded quickly through Antoine Semenyo. If you like good goals, it's worth watching Match of the Day tonight, because that was a super finish as well across Trafford into the bottom corner. They've had the better of the second half, Bournemouth, and remember, if we get a winner today, one of these teams will be out of the bottom 3.
Thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon to Chris and Dion. Lovely to see you. I mean, what a performance from Eddie Nketiah, Dion.
Brilliant finish, just all 3 of them. First one was just quality, taking his time, knew exactly what to do, instinctive. Second one, and the third one was just 25 yards, close your eyes, how hard can I hit it?
Where Bukayo Saka hands Eddie Nketiah the ball on the 3rd goal, Chris.
Yeah, great moment. I mean, there has been this sort of question about Arsenal this season. Do they have a ruthless enough striker for them to go on and actually win the Premier League?
Don't forget all the goals from the games in the Premier League today with Gary and the team. Righty and Alan Shearer in studio as well. Should be a great one. 10:20, BBC One tonight. This is Final Score from the BBC. Interviews and reaction on the way. First, all of today's results with Mike West.
And we'll open with today's action in the Premier League. Arsenal 5, Sheffield United 0. Bournemouth 2, Burnley 1. Chelsea 0. Brentford 2. And Wolverhampton Wanderers against Newcastle United. An evening kick-off at 5:30. Sky Bet Championship, Blackburn Rovers 0. Swansea City 1. Cardiff City 2, Bristol City 0. Hull City 1, Preston North End 0. Leeds United 4, Huddersfield Town 1. Ipswich Town 3, Plymouth Argyle 2. Middlesbrough 0, Stoke City 2. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Leicester City 2. Southampton 3, Birmingham City 1. Sunderland 3, Norwich City 1. And Watford 2, Millwall 2. The Sky Bet League 1, Barnsley 2, Fleetwood Town 2, Blackpool 2, Peterborough United 4, Bristol Rovers 2, Northampton Town 1, Burton Albion 0, Leyton Orient 0, Cambridge United 1, Carlisle United 0, Charlton Athletic 0, Bolton Wanderers 2, Exeter City 1, Lincoln City 1, Oxford United 2, Wycombe Wanderers 2, Port Vale 1, Cheltenham Town 2, Reading 2, Portsmouth 3, Stevenage 3, Derby County 1, and Wigan Athletic 2, Shrewsbury Town 0. The Sky Bet League 2, Accrington Stanley 0, Colchester United 1, Barrow 0, Salford City 0. Doncaster Rovers 1, Grimsby Town 0. Forest Green Rovers 2, Crawley Town 1. Gillingham 0. Newport County 2. Harrogate Town 0. Crewe Alexandra 1. Mansfield Town 2, Walsall 1. MK Dons 3, Swindon Town 2. Morecambe 4, AFC Wimbledon 1. Notts County 0, Wrexham 2, Stockport County 2, Tranmere Rovers 0, and Sutton United 2, Bradford City 1. The Vanarama National League, Boreham Wood 1, Southend United 1, Dorking Wanderers 2, Aldershot Town 1, Ebbsfleet United 0, Dagenham and Redbridge 1, Gateshead 0, AFC Fylde 4, Hartlepool United 2, Rochdale 3, Kidderminster Harriers 1, Chesterfield 3, Maidenhead United 3, Eastleigh 2, Oldham Athletic 2, Altrincham 2, Oxford City 0, Barnet 2, Solihull Moors 1, Wealdstone 0, Woking 0, Bromley 1, and York City against FC Halifax Town is an evening kick-off at 5:30. Into Scotland with the Cinch Premiership, Hibernian 0, Celtic 0, Livingston 0, Dundee 2, Motherwell 3, Ross County 3, and St Mirren 4, St Johnstone 0. The Scottish Championship, Ayr United 0, Greenock Morton 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 1, Airdrieonians 0, and Wraith Rovers 1, Dunfermline 0. The Scottish League 1, Edinburgh City 3, Annan Athletic 2, Falkirk 3, Alloa Athletic 0, Kelty Hearts 1, Stirling Albion 0, Montrose against Hamilton Academical, an evening kick-off at 5:30, and Queen of the South 0, Cove Rangers 1. The JD Cymru Premier in Wales, Colwyn Bay 0, Barrytown United 1. Newtown 1, Haverfordwest County 1, Pontypridd United 1, Cardiff MU 3, and the New Saints against Ballatown is an evening kick-off at 5:15. Lastly, the Sports Direct Premiership in Northern Ireland, Ballymena United 1, Dungannon Swifts 1, Carrick Rangers 1, Glenavon 3, Coleraine 1, Cliftonville 2, Crusaders 1, Glentoran 1, Linfield 5, Loughgall 1. And finally, Newry City against Larne is an evening kick-off at 5:30.
Here are the tables. Arsenal's win over Sheffield United means they cut the gap on rival Spurs back to 2 points. Brentford's third straight win at Stamford Bridge sees them go above Chelsea. Well done to Bournemouth, out of the bottom three after getting their first win of the season against Burnley. Sheffield United battered at Arsenal, their bottom. Into the Championship, the top three all won. Leicester City still 5 points clear of Ipswich Town. Leeds United third. Southampton go fourth after a win over Birmingham City. Queen's Park Rangers stay second bottom after their 10th league defeat of the season. Sheffield Wednesday host Rotherham United tomorrow. Portsmouth come back from 2-0 down to win at Reading, helps them increase their lead at the top to 6 points. Bolton Wanderers away win at Charlton Athletic lifts them level on points with second place Oxford United, who were held by Wycombe Wanderers. Despite their valiant display against Portsmouth, Reading slipped to the foot of the table after Cheltenham Town won for only the second time this season. League 2 looks like this evening. Stockport County 5 points clear following their 10th consecutive league win. Wrexham level on points with second place Notts County. Sutton United stay at the foot of the table despite their late winner. Second bottom Tranmere Rovers have now lost all 8 of their away league games this season. National League leaders Chesterfield maintain their 2-point advantage over Barnet as both sides won away from home today. Kidderminster Harriers and Oxford City have had a tough afternoon. Both lost to the top 2. And in the Scottish Premiership, unbeaten Celtic dropped points for the second time this season. And while their lead is now 8 points, Rangers will cut it to 5 if they beat Hearts tomorrow. Well, unlike Philip Billing, we can talk about it. It's our job to question VAR and the officials and what's happening in the Premier League. Jonathan Pearce is there for us. JP, genuinely, we love the game. We can't carry on like this. 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think they got the decision right in the end. David Coote was the VAR, and I could hear him, and he kept saying, "I've got to look at this again to make sure I get it right. I've got to look at this again," which that's absolutely right, of course. It has to be a correct decision. The referee was waiting. We were all waiting. It looked on my VAR monitor here as if the pictures had been frozen. Then, first of all, it came up a green line to suggest that Jay Rodriguez was onside and wasn't played off by Lloyd Kelly. And then up came the red line, and the goal was disallowed. I think it was the correct decision, but it's a tiny margin. It might have been his nose or his chin. Come on, that's not in the spirit of the game. But to be honest, I thought that Bournemouth deserved the win. Billings' goal was outrageous. It was poorly given away by Burnley, and he lobbed the goalkeeper from, 45 yards. Trafford desperately tried to get back and claw it out. But I thought they deserved, from the minute they got back into the game with a fine goal by Antoine Semenyo, again given away high up the pitch by Burnley, they were the better team. Burnley had gone ahead with Charlie Taylor's first goal since, well, I make it 2015 when he netted for Leeds against MK Dons a long, long while ago anyway, drilled through a packed defence. But from that moment on, that equaliser, Bournemouth were the better team. Burnley did have one very late effort, I should say, Berger with a header, and he made a difference when he came on. Header at the far post that was pushed away by Radu in that Bournemouth goal, making his league debut for them. Bournemouth get their first win. You could the sense of relief around this stadium was absolutely tangible. You could feel it, and the relief down there on the dugout was so clear to see.
JP, they've got to stop giving teams so many chances to score goals, because they did play well, I agree with you, but they just allow teams to get behind them and create chances. If they stop that, they play some good stuff.
This is Burnley you're talking about, Dion?
About Bournemouth. Bournemouth got over the line, JP. They got over the line, but they did allow Burnley to get in a few times down the flanks, few chances as well. I just think if they can stop that, JP, they're good at home.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I would say one thing about it. I thought there was just a little bit more muscle in the Bournemouth challenges, a little bit more hunger here and there. 1 or 2 Burnley heads dipped, I think. So I think the Bournemouth victory. One player I would praise for them was Solanke up front. Didn't half work his socks off. Real centre forward in a team that's struggling for goals. He held the ball up. He made a nuisance of himself. He worked the 2 centre backs all the way through the game. So a word of praise for him. And Alex Scott, this midfield player they signed from Bristol City, he's had to wait for a long time to have his chance last week. He grew in authority. I think the manager would have said to him at half-time, look, be more authoritative, play your own game, don't be scared to do so. And he got better as the game went on. He's a talent.
JP, does Vincent Kompany, does he need to adapt the way Burnley have approached this Premier League season? Are they playing fantasy football? Does he need to be a bit more realistic? Do you think he'll make a change, a tweak?
Well, it changed, Chris, when they brought on Big Berger into midfield, Sander Berger, and he had that chance at the far post, and he was more physical in midfield. They went a little bit more direct at times, having brought on Rodriguez. So the answer to your question, I think, he'll need to do something to change things around, because what is that now? 8 defeats in 10 or something like that at the start of the season, league defeats, I think it is, which isn't good enough. They're going to struggle. So I think they looked a little bit more impressive when they went more physical and a little bit more direct. So I agree with you on that one.
JP, thank you very much indeed. Right,
Thanks, Crawley.
Kelly, great stuff. Thank you very much indeed. OK, our big talking point looks ahead to the Manchester derby tomorrow. Looking forward to this. Now, Chris Sutton went for 5-1 Manchester City on his predictions. You can check those out on the BBC Sport website. So, 5-1. Talk us through it.
I just think Manchester United this season have regressed. I think that they've gone backwards. And, you know, if you're a Manchester United fan, you might be getting excited about the last 3 results. Well, Copenhagen, Sheffield United and Brentford, but you know they haven't been convincing in those performances. I just think Manchester City I think their players, player for player, are miles ahead of Manchester United, and they are due to absolutely spank someone. So I suspect it will be tomorrow.
However, Dion, how do you feel about that? Because there will be obviously a tribute to Sir Bobby Charlton. There'll be lots of emotion, and in the build-up to the game, no doubt Eric Ten Hag will remind them of what a Manchester derby means to the people on the red side of Manchester. Do you go along with this?
I was at the Copenhagen game at home, which wasn't great. It wasn't a great performance. Got over the line, but wasn't a great performance. The emotion was there then, and I think they felt from the fans that they didn't perform. Like I say, got over the line with a goal from Harry Maguire, great save penalty, but they've got to do better. The manager will remind them, you're correct. On form, City should win this game, no problem at all. But it's a derby. It's a derby, and Man United have to turn up. They really do. And if they don't, it could be 4 or 5. If Man United don't turn up, it could be 4 or 5 quite easily.
How important is it that they keep their heads tomorrow?
Yeah, keep 11 players on the pitch. Man United have every chance. If every player turns up, then they have a chance. If every player performs to the best of their ability, then they have a chance. Man United cannot carry anybody tomorrow. They have to all be at it if they've got any chance against City.
There we are, the Premier League at Old Trafford since Guardiola. This is interesting, isn't it, this graphic?
Yeah, a little bit, but if you're looking at the here and now, and you know, Dion makes a point about Manchester United players turning up. How many times this season has it absolutely clicked for Manchester United?
It hasn't.
You know,
no, you're right.
I can't think so. Going in, you know, head-to-head again, and where they'll take a bit of heart last season. I think they beat Manchester City, didn't they? So that would give them a bit of heart. The only way they can win is by counter-attack, but I think Manchester City will create chances. And if they're clinical, I think that they will win comfortably.
The fans will play their part, that's for sure.
Yeah, it'll be noisy. It'll be a great atmosphere. It'll be an unbelievable atmosphere. But can you deal with it? Can you deal with the atmosphere? Can you deal with it, you know, the gravitas of this game? Can you perform under that? Can you be better than your opposite number? Can you do everything right? You know, that's the thing. You've got to do everything right against City. Otherwise, they'll find your weakness.
Yeah, and also, you know, you have to, as Dion says, keep a cool head as well in a derby, don't you?
Well, of course.
Did you keep a cool head in a derby, Chris?
Well, I've been sent off in many games.
I thought so,
I've scored in derby games.
Of course you did, yeah.
As well, it's important to keep a cool head. That's a lesson for you on Saturday afternoons as well. Keep a cool head.
Did you keep a cool head in derbies?
Always, yes. I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you sure? Especially the big one in Birmingham?
Yes. Are we finished? Are we off air? Let's go. Bye.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to Dion, Chris, Kelly and our reporters around the country. Thank you very much indeed for watching. One of us here. Bye for now.